What's up, everybody? All right, this looks good. Uh, I just posted something. I heard that there were some people possibly having some issues with Facebook. Maybe a fight between StreamYard and Facebook. So I don't know what's going on, but it looks like well, Brad's watching on YouTube. Let me know where you're watching, um, so we can kind of figure out. Not that we can do anything about it, but see what's going on. So Brad looks like he's on YouTube. Uh the Pod Horser says he's on Facebook. So Facebook must be working. A friend of mine, Shanita Morris, earlier, they have a stream on at 7 o'clock that they do. And she was saying that Facebook was they couldn't broadcast on Facebook, but it looks like some people are on Facebook. So I guess disregard that message. But what's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Local Musicians XP live stream. We are so happy to be with you on this Tuesday night. I am flying a bit, so not really solo, but my partner in crime has an event that he has to play this evening, so he won't be joining us. But we do have some other uh, some very cool people that we're going to bring in, and we also have a very special guest that we've been wanting to get on the show for a while. So we will bring him in momentarily. Just to get some house cleaning out of the way, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe and set your notification bell. Give our videos thumbs up, comment, all that stuff, likes. But definitely subscribe and tell other people about this stream and our podcast. We're on every night or every Tuesday night, that is, at 9 p.m. We'll see what happens during the fall. We may, spring forward, fall back. We'll see if we want to go back to 8 o'clock during the fall. But right now, the 9 o'clock seems to be working pretty good. So we're going to kind of stick with that. So 9 p.m. You can check out our interviews with all great Atlanta artists and some national artists on the Spotify channel under Local Musicians XP. Follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. We are really trying to work our Instagram. So we just sort of fired up a sponsored ad for Instagram and trying to get some attention there. We loaded some new stuff on there. So check that out. And so we're kind of playing around with that. Facebook as well. We're trying to get that going also. So our friend and resident producer, Brian Falgu, has been actively putting clips together and editing stuff to go on the channel. So there's new stuff dropping all the time. So check that out. Let's see. We're also on Twitch. And that's for you young folks, gamers. If you are on Twitch, I know the old heads have no idea even what Twitch is. So, so I have a past. I used to play video games, so I know what Twitch is. But it's more of a gamer channel. But they also have a lot of live streaming and podcasts and stuff like that going on. So on Twitch. So check us out on all that stuff. We've got, let's see, hopefully in the next, I would say next week or so, we're going to have another episode of Deep Vinyl. Me and Lamar got to coordinate our schedules to get another episode of that. That was very well received, and we are going to definitely keep that going. So look out for that. I think there's 2 episodes that are up on the YouTube of Deep Vinyl. So if you want to go check those out. Our last one was on the record label CTI, and then also the sideman career of Grover Washington Jr. and his effect and influence on really modern music. It's pretty amazing what you do when you start digging deep into somebody's career and connecting the dots, and you start to see their impact in what they did. So check that out. That's on the YouTube channel. And other than that, I think everything else looks good. So yeah, we're getting some good comments. Brad, Mark, Rich, Lamar, thank y'all for checking in and being loyal to us, man, and hanging out and supporting the stream. If you want to support the stream further, you can donate to us on Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. We're trying to work toward doing the getting this everything over to YouTube exclusively because we're not sure what's going on with with Meta, which owns both Instagram and Facebook. So, but we definitely want to get over to YouTube. So if you're hanging out with us, man, just say hello in the chat. What's up, Garland? Thank you for coming in, man. Hope you are well. Photographer extraordinaire Garland Hancock checking in with us. So yeah, with that, man, I think we're just gonna kind of dive into our special guest. And this is a cat that I've known for a while. He's a family friend now. He's very good friends with my wife. And they are photographer buddies that shoot the jazz festivals on the regular. He is also a renowned DJ, specifically at WRFG 89.3, I believe, in Atlanta. And so, I've been wanting to get someone that's in that space on to talk not only about what's kind of going on now in terms of how radio is even surviving in the days of the internet, but also talk about the past a little bit. And because the relationship between the DJ and the musician used to be tight. It used to be tight. It used to be that was the goal, was to, if you were touring or if you were going to a different city, the first thing you wanted to do was go check in with the DJ and get an interview. And that was how a lot of people would get people out to the shows, the promoters, trying to fill whatever venue they're in. They have the artist would go do an interview the day of the show. People would listen and hopefully come out. So some of that's changed. But we're going to talk to our brother James Ellison here about that and some other things. And without further ado, bring in my man James Ellison. What's going on, man?
Not much. How you doing, Chris?
Doing good. I'm doing good.
Doing real good. Doing real good.
Yeah, okay. Man.
It's always good seeing you. I remember when you were coming into the studio and you were doing the I guess the hip hop and jazz thing together.
That's right. Over at Soul Village, maybe, which was
or was it the 5 spot or something like that?
I think it was the back of Mood's Music.
Right.
Where we were doing we were kind of doing for Atlanta anyway, we were doing the original sample show where we were playing the tunes or the samples from tunes that how would you say it? The samples from the tunes.
Yes.
Is that how you would say it? So yeah. But we were playing the tunes that had major samples in jazz music. So
yes.
That was a great project. Yeah. So we came in. Yeah, man. So we came in, and I also came in. I think I was doing a couple of things. You had me kind of come in, and I remember. Yeah. So
did you come in with Tyrone one time?
That I don't know. I don't think so. I remember coming in solo.
Yeah.
Maybe we're doing some organs. I can't remember, man.
Yeah.
But anyway, you were so gracious and just, having us. And that was the back in the day when you were doing your show live, I think
In
at
the
10 p.m.
studio.
10 p.m. in the studio.
10 p.m. to midnight.
Yeah.
Man.
So yeah,
Those were the
it's a
good
little
old days. Those
the
were the
good
good
old
old
days,
Those are
man.
the
And we're
good
gonna
old
talk a
days.
little bit about the good old
Yeah.
days too. But well, let's just get it kind of we'll talk
You
a
want to
little
know
bit.
a little bit about me?
No, I don't want to know nothing, man.
About-
I got other criteria. I have much more important, pertinent
Okay.
information that we have to. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
All right, man. So yeah, where you're from it? Are you from Atlanta?
Born and raised in Atlanta, inside the city limits. Inside
Okay.
the city limits.
Yeah.
Educated in Atlanta, went Atlanta Public School Systems, went to Oglethorpe Elementary School, Frederick Douglass High School. Then I went over to Morehouse College, and then I ended up at Atlanta University.
Okay.
Worked as an IT guy, for 20 some years at a major airline here in the city.
Okay.
And while I was there, I met this guy named John Burroughs. We were taking pictures at a concert.
Whoa.
And he said, I saw him a couple of weeks later. He said, "Did I tell you I'd do a show at WRFG?" And I said, "No, you didn't tell me that." And he said, "Well, why don't you come down one Thursday?" So I came down the next Thursday, and that was in 2009, probably June of 2009, actually.
Okay.
No, May. It was in May. It was right at the Jazz Festival. That's when they had it at Piedmont Park.
Right.
Not Piedmont Park, but Grant Park.
Grant Park. Right. Yeah.
Grant Park for a couple of years.
Right.
And I came down, I had a ball, and here it is, 2024.
Man. So that was your first
yeah, never done anything with radio. I just played music for myself, going to Morehouse in the mid 70s, everybody was listening to fusion, Chick Corea, Billy Cobham, and that's what we did every night. After you finish studying, you go to your buddy's room who had the great stereo system and just play that vinyl. And wow. So I never thought I would be doing radio, but John kind of drugged me in there. And it's been a blast. It's been a blast.
God bless that brother, man. That's a great man, John.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
He was actually the magnet that brought a lot of people together.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people, man.
He had great knowledge of the music. And when I say music, jazz.
As most, I'm finding more cats who are non-musicians have more knowledge about music history than several musicians that I know. It's kind of crazy. I guess not, because I mean, if your life is based around listening, right? And you collect, I don't know if what your vinyl collection is.
It's not bad,
Yeah.
But I would say more of a audiophile, because I would buy a record, I would play it once and transfer it to a cassette, and then play the cassette in the car, that kind of stuff. So the vinyl I have is in really good shape. Shape.
Okay.
But that was something, I just listened to music. And then back then you had your albums and you could just read the liner notes. That's when my eyes were good. Once they transferred that to CDs, I said, what is this? I can't read this, but that's how you learn the music. You say,
exactly.
So-and-so is playing on this one. So-and-so is playing on this one. Let me check when I go down to Peaches or Turtles. Let me see if they have an album out. And most of the time they did. So you say, nobody was playing it on the radio, so you just bought it on a whim. But then again, the albums were only $3.94 back then, as opposed to the $50 and $60 if you buy a new LP today.
Right.
So
Right.
so when John called me in, it was just he liked fusion, so we hit it off, from day one.
Man, what was y'all show called? What was
Ascension.
Ascension. That's
Yeah,
right.
like the John Coltrane
Right.
album.
Because I would check you guys out and then go listen to CLK at midnight to Abdul.
Yep. Yeah. Oh man.
Who was always playing amazing things that I had not heard. And he was a big sort of fusion. He loved that sound, the fusion sound. So he would play, the first time I heard Donald Byrd, I think it's an Electric Bird. Is that the record? I think it's Electric Bird.
Yes.
That was on his show. That was the first time. And I remember I was driving home from a gig and I must have drove around. I drove around because he played the whole thing. And I just drove around.
Those were the good old days.
Listening to Donald Byrd, Electric Bird. But that was how I got turned on, man, by so much so much music, because my jazz knowledge wasn't all that great, man. Up until really I moved here is when I really kind of hit my stride with jazz and through you guys and CLK, and then just the whole community. It was like a community of people that were just music lovers as well as musicians as well. But that was what turned me on to a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, and like anybody else growing up, I listened to the rock stations, the R&B stations. In fact, growing up, when you used to turn down the FM dial, there was so much silence on it, because it was only a handful of stations. Now there's no gap. Yeah. So, big Sly and the Family Stone fan.
So just curious, what was the main station when you were in college at Morehouse? Do you remember what? Was there a school station or anything? Or
no, not really. They had a station called WAUC, which you could probably get, maybe 500 feet from the studio, and that was about it.
Strong,
but it taught a lot of people how to use the equipment and everything. And, but I wasn't interested in that. I was just listening to my music, Funkadelic, Parliament, Chaka Khan, all that stuff. But, the first time I guess I heard Return to Forever, I had a cousin from New York who came down to Morehouse, and he had gone to music and art. He was a bass player.
Okay.
And he turned me on to Weather Report and all that kind of stuff. And I was done then, once I heard that.
Right.
That was it.
Yeah. There's Donald Byrd, Electric Bird.
There it is. Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's like 2 songs on the whole record because
yeah. But see, those were the good old days. People used to play 15-minute cuts, 20-minute cuts.
Man.
It was no problem. No problem.
Unbelievable.
But radio station, back then you had WAOK, which was AM.
Okay.
You had WIGO, which was AM. And you also had WERD, which was AM. Okay. On the FM side, there was nothing. I mean, there was, I think, WRFG, not WRFG, what was Georgia State? 88.5?
88.5, yeah. WRAS, maybe?
WRAS, when they came on. You had WREK, which was Georgia Tech.
Right.
And then in 73, CLK came on, which was, that was a game changer.
Man, and that's the cool thing about and the programming of every, because especially the college radio, it was so mixed in terms of, everybody there was a reggae show, there was a rock show, there was a punk show, there was a jazz show, and I think people's IQ was much higher musically speaking
Yes.
back then than it is now. That's for damn sure. But because people were exposed to everything,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So, and you didn't have to necessarily like it to respect it, but but being able to have access and to hear, and that was the only game in town too. There was no downloading and
Oh, none of that.
iTunes and
And
so
another thing about the radio stations, they were kind of regional.
Right.
AOK and IGO, they didn't play the Ohio players when they were on Westbound Records, Westbound label. They the only way we knew about Ohio players were when people came down to Morehouse or Clark or Spelman or Marsh Brown from that area, from Ohio. And they said, well, who are these guys? They're bad. How come we never heard them?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But see, most of the stations down here, they play, James Brown, Sly and the Family Stone, the DJs were the king back then. They were really the king.
And I guess there was no real, maybe there Nash. I'm trying to think of, because I'm going back to even, where I'm from in Rockford, Illinois, outside of Chicago. It was all just local. You just listen to your local. Now, every now and then you could sneak WGCI in Chicago. If you could get your dial lined up to where
just right.
It was, it would sneak in, you would try to find it. But that was,
and it would fade in and out while you're listening.
It would fade in and out, but it was, but the whole, oh man, GCI, man, they play, all the progressive, whatever the progressive stuff was at that time. But local radio is how most people grew up, man. If you are wherever you're from, if you're in the chat, and you feel like it, drop your local radio station from where you're from, whatever radio station you used to check out, drop that in the chat, and let's get some of these radio station shout outs going. So here's a question or a comment from Brad. He says, Donald Byrd Studio Group, the Blackbirds. Yes. City Life was my
I was
first
at that one.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I was there. in Archer Hall at the gym.
Yep. Oh, so were you guys at Morehouse at the same time? You and
Brad?
I
was there from 73 to 77.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever met Brad? Do you know James? Have you guys ever met before? Brad Thomas? You guys need to hook up, man. You guys
we do.
Morehouse brothers.
Yes,
so
yes.
I'll get you.
I'll
get you guys his info.
I remember seeing Mandrill. They came up through there. And this was when Fence Walk came out. It was
so the cat with the whole, he had the whole headset on and everything.
Yeah.
Well, back then, because you had to have a look, you had to have a gimmick, man. You had to have a look, something to separate yourself.
Yeah, you used to have a little goatee and stuff. Your hair was. Yes.
Still got it, man. Still got it.
But of course, back then it was all the same color. But then again, right now it would be all the same color.
That's right. That's right.
But those were good days for live music. I remember seeing War at the City Auditorium, which is on Georgia State's campus.
That's a long way for them to come because that's straight West Coast, LA.
Yeah. And, the Omni didn't come around till early 70s, so there was no place other than the Atlanta City Auditorium, which is now on Georgia State's campus. They used to have live Atlanta wrestling there and concerts. I think Jimi Hendrix played there once. It must have said about 5,000 or so. In
Okay.
fact, the first concert I ever saw was James Brown and Joe Tex at the City Auditorium. I had to be about 9 or 10.
Okay.
And then everybody in Atlanta, well, who was in Atlanta during that time frame, they will tell you they saw the Jackson 5 there.
Wow.
When they were really the Jackson 5. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
Man.
it was, but as far as jazz, you had Pascal's La Carousel, and everybody used to come through there, from Ramsey Lewis to you name it. That was the spot. And then later on, when the Mets won the World Series in '69, Don Clendenin, he grew up in Atlanta. He went to Washington High and Morehouse and played professional baseball for the Pirates for about 10, 12 years. He opened up a jazz club on Hunter Street.
Wow.
Which, yeah, that's Mandrill.
Man, that's cats.
Yeah. So, I remember everybody was talking about when Lee Morgan came through Don Clendenin's. That was a big thing because that was around when Sidewinder hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Really big, really big. But that was the jazz scene in Atlanta. And, it's grown a lot. We still don't have one in the city. Tamara has the Velvet Note up in Alpharetta.
Yeah, we'll skip over that right there. But anyway, so Brad, your Morehouse brother, he was a fresh, he was a young cat. So you guys probably, unless you hazed him, don't know. You didn't do any hazing, man?
No, I didn't do any hazing. I was a city student, so we weren't really on campus as at night.
Okay. I got you.
And plus I played a little baseball too, so that took up a lot of time.
Okay. All right. So what's going on, Sigwell? Late 80s, Beloit, yeah, man. Beloit was like the party city around where I was. There was a ton of clubs up in Beloit. Everybody would go there, pass through there and play. I had somebody sent me a flyer. There was a club in in Rockford called Charlotte's Web, and they sent me like a promo for, I don't know what month it was, but it was a 77, and McCoy Tyner came through, as well as Dizzy Gillespie.
Wow.
In 77. So kind of interesting, man. But look, man, let's get to some of these because there's a lot of things I want to talk to you about in terms of DJ and just where we are as artists, DJs. But let's first talk about some of the pros and the cons of producing a show from home versus you guys being in the studio, and talk about, because our conversation yesterday, man, you had some really interesting points about how you're actually programming your show now. And so let's first start with, when you guys were going in live, was it you already had your catalog there? Were you bringing stuff in to play special? How would you sort of go about getting it together for your show that night?
Okay, so maybe we came on Thursday night, so maybe on Tuesday you would start putting your music together, what you wanted to play. Do I want to start off with Joe Henderson? Do I want to start off with Miles Davis? and you knew you had your commercials. Well, we don't have commercials, but we have public service announcements. You
Right.
know, you had them at 15 and 45. And
Okay.
then, you wanted to back announce your the artist. Who were the side musicians? What was the label? What year did it come out? You do
Right.
all your research and have
Right.
all that ready. So, by the time Thursday night got there at 9 o'clock, you probably still weren't ready, but you had a good, hour and 45 minutes together. And then I guess the big difference back then is people would call in and say, "Hey, I want to hear,"
Right. Right.
in a silent way. I want to hear, Carmen McRae,
Man. Right.
just that kind of stuff. And then you say, "Oh, did I bring some Carmen McRae, or is there some Carmen McRae in the cabinets?" So you would try to, and that's the big difference. You had interaction with the public, the
Right.
listeners, but
Right.
everybody doesn't call in. I used to
Right.
run into, guys I went to school with, or, ladies I went to school with, and they say, "Yeah, I listened to you on the radio." And I said, "Why don't you call in?" "Oh, I don't do that." But they were listening,
Right. Right. Yeah, your
So
listening audience is much bigger than, it's just the same thing here. We talked a little bit about there's people, that are checking us out, but you don't see them in the chat or anything. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So
that's cool.
that was the big difference. That's what you did every week. It was fun,
Right. And you were trying to develop like a flow, right? Like you
absolutely.
almost like you putting on a show,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I start off with 2 upbeat songs followed by 2 ballads followed by a vocal? You would do that kind of thing in your mind, and you have and plus back then everything was either vinyl or CD when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
So you come in with your grocery sack, full of about 25, 30 CDs, so you could, mix and match if you weren't feeling, I don't want to play this now. I want to play,
Right.
Kenny Barron or somebody like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you came in, with a bunch of stuff.
Right. And I'm sure you might have had a plan, but then,
Plans change.
Plans change.
Yes. Yes, they do.
And so, the call-in show, right? I think was a big thing for all radio was the callers calling in, either requesting things or sometimes they would have dedication, the dedication.
Yeah.
What was the they would call it like the after hour, or like the where they play all the slow jams and stuff at night.
Oh yeah.
You
What do you call it?
Call in and
dedication. I want to
dedication, man, or
so
somebody broke up with somebody. I mean, that we just having fun, but all that kind of stuff. But the callers are a big part of the energy.
Absolutely, back then. Yeah. You would listen to the radio not only to hear music, but to hear people talk about their problems, their issues, what was going good, and sometimes you heard people that you knew, from around the city. I said, "Oh, I haven't seen that person since I was in elementary school," stuff like that. There were guys like Doug Steele. I think he used to come on in the afternoon on WALK. There was what was the other guy? Everybody had their own style. They had their own.
Everybody had their own style, man.
They had their own rap, where they.
Mm-hmm.
It was, there was a guy on WIGO called Sir Raggedy Flag, and he used.
What?
Yeah, Sir Raggedy Flag, but he used to play Gene Ammons. What was that? Jungle Soul. He used to play that and rap over it. This is back in the early 70s, late 60s, and he used to rap over it because he had his little intro and stuff, and he was playing Jungle Soul.
Wow.
I didn't know it was a jazz song until 20, 30 years, maybe not 30 years, but 20 years later, I thought it
Right.
was an R&B, somebody had made,
Right.
but those guys, they were something else. And plus they were on every day for about 3 or 4 hours, Monday through Friday.
Man, I mean, see, that's where you can really get momentum with I guess, back then, I guess they would, I don't know what they call it. They call it a following now, but I guess it
Yeah.
was following back then.
Mhm.
And you had your favorite DJ. Everybody had their favorite cat that they would listen to,
Oh, yeah.
So, but you guys, so you would produce, you would think about, the songs and try to, blend certain things. Of course, like you said, show would change. Somebody would call in, want to request something. You try to play it, make it through the evening, um, and then fast forward.
Okay. The biggest change after that, was
You
the
know,
internet.
so because man, when that happened, I didn't even realize that radio shows were actually being programmed until somebody told me. And
Oh, absolutely. Well,
I
and,
didn't
that was,
even know that.
and that was a great thing about WRFG. You didn't have a program director or anybody. You made up your playlist, and it's what you wanted to play.
Right.
And there was nobody going to come in and say, hey, you didn't play so and so, twice in the hour, which
Mm-hmm.
was, I think that kind of, and same way with the local radio stations, I guess they had some playlists, but for the most part, the DJ, if he felt like playing, there was a guy named Dwayne Jones. I mean, every day he played something by Sly and the Family Stone. So you knew it wasn't on a playlist, but that was his personal preference. Every
Mm-hmm.
so often, if somebody came out with something hot, they might play it 2 times in a row.
Wow.
You know, but see
Right.
now you can't get away with that. You did that on the radio, they will run you out of town.
Wow.
So
What year would you?
that's how free radio was back then.
Right. But what year would you say it was? It because man, I'm trying to really think. Just I've been here for so long, but I'm trying to think. It wasn't until like maybe was it 2014, 15, something like that, or was it earlier than that when the programming kind of started to?
Um, okay, so somewhere around 74, there was a country radio station called WPLO on FM. I think they were like 103.3. And that's when disco hit. And all of a sudden there was V103, and they were a disco station. And
Oh,
that's when things started to change. That's when,
wow.
yeah. And you had like 96 Rock, you had
Right.
WQXI, all those
Yeah.
stations, and they were
Right.
playing, like rock music. And then they were doing that album oriented rock where they play all the long cuts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the college stations like WRAS, they would play that. But shortly after that, everything went commercial, you know,
Mm-hmm.
5 minute cuts. You play the same song twice in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You had a playlist, and that kind of changed radio.
Right. So you're talking about as early as
Oh, I want to say 74, 75, 76. Things started to change.
real that early because
Oh yeah, yeah.
just because it was about, I guess it was about when it became more about commercial success and what was, I mean, videos hadn't really
That because you remember the
come to
first
play.
MTV came on. You remember they didn't play any R&B, any black people on
Right.
videos for a
Right.
long time.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
a long time.
Right.
So, you know, you watch it, but it really didn't do anything for you.
Mm.
And Because when did MTV Raps come? Yo, MTV Raps
I
come
mean, that
on?
was later, man. I mean, we started
That
watching
was in the '90s.
MTV. Yeah, because MTV started in 82, 83.
Yeah.
We were glued because it was just, you didn't know, we had never seen, you know, anybody that we were listening, that was listening to on the radio or
Yeah.
at that point, and
Yeah.
the black thing wasn't really. I mean, they Michael Jackson and Prince were the first two black artists that were played on. I mean, Michael Jackson was the first one. I think Billie Jean was the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
But there was still great. I mean, the Police and all kinds of great
Oh yeah,
stuff.
that's good music. Now, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but it was, and for because I'm in the, well, let's not separate ourselves so much here. But in 80, I'm like in the 7th, 8th grade, dude. So
oh yeah,
you guys are on
I had by 82,
yeah,
no,
completely
83,
different.
I had children. So my listening was a little different back then,
Man, we go to dude, I got something called the age test that I came up with. I didn't even tell Brian about that, but I'm gonna pull that on you because I'm gonna ask you a question. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna see how old you really are. I'm not gonna ask you your age, but this is gonna tell
yeah.
But man, so that's interesting because the program, the going from, I think, and again, you have commercial radio and you have public radio.
Yeah.
Or it's you have different. Those are all completely different businesses, right? Like
totally different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And back then, you didn't notice it. You just say, "Well, they don't play what I want to hear,"
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you try to find something you wanted. That's, at least that's how I did it.
Right.
Staying up late at night, listening to the radio because that's when the best music was played. If you ask me,
right.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Yeah. MTV was 81. Yo, MTV Raps was 88.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, so now what's your
how do I do it?
How do you?
Okay, so the CD thing, they lasted for a while. Like I said, the internet came along, and one of the DJs at WRFG, she used to come on after us on Thursday night. She had a program from 12 to 3, and she came in with this Apple laptop, and she had her music on the laptop for the program.
Oh boy.
And I said, oh, okay, this is a game changer.
Oh boy.
So I had CDs at the time, but I used to bring them in and play them in the CD player at the station.
Right.
She showed me how she set up her program on iTunes. Just put the songs in, play them, stop it when she wanted to, started yapping, then go right back to it. Oh, that was a game changer. I went out and bought it's probably about 2015, 2014. Didn't tell my wife, I was married at the time, that I was going to buy this.
But not for long. No, I'm just kidding.
A MacBook Pro, but I had to do it, So I went and did that.
Right.
And that changed everything.
So do you see that as a positive or?
Oh yeah, it was a positive.
Negative? Okay.
Because I could put, for a 2-hour show, if you're playing 7-minute, 6-minute cuts, you could play about 13, 14 records in 2 hours, sometimes more, sometimes less. Mm-hmm. But, I could put a couple of hours worth of CDs, more than a couple of hours on the MacBook. So I had a lot of music at my fingertips that I could interchange.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Right.
I can interchange, somebody, I wanted to play Nefertiti and somebody wanted to hear ESP. I probably had all that there, and I just grab ESP and play it.
Right.
So
So there's no more reaching and okay.
It's at your fingertips. It was a different game. And then, so the next thing that happened was when people started putting stuff in the cloud or putting it on external hard drives. So
right.
What would happen is you could have your entire collection at your fingertips.
Wow. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A couple of thousand albums or CDs at your fingertips.
Wow.
So
I see the benefit of that. I see the benefit of that.
So your prep time wasn't as great as it was, you get your CDs, put them in order, what I'm saying.
So I guess I'm trying to equate that to, there's some things I can equate that to musically, but did that take some of the purist thing out of it in terms of, do you feel like that changed creatively a little bit how you would go about the show versus, because if everything's already there, why man, I ain't got to think about it till 5 minutes, because I can just everything's there. So
I'm not going to tell you that I did that, but it could have happened. Is that okay? Is that
okay? That's okay.
That probably free. It's probably once or twice that I just grabbed a bunch of stuff and came in and
it's a judgment-free zone, man. Judgment-free, judgment-free zone. So,
but sometimes those were the best shows that you broadcast, was the ones that you rushed in and had no idea what you were going to play, and you started it. But you had, like I said, you had everything at your fingertips.
Right.
Once that happened, pandemic came along, we were kicked out of the studio because nobody wanted to get sick. So they came up with a way of pre-recording the programs, and then we will upload it to this company called radio.co. If your program was at 10 o'clock, it started playing at 10 o'clock. There were some good things. You didn't have to drive in at 10 o'clock at night. You didn't have to worry about the crazy folks in little 5 points,
Right.
Because sometimes, it wasn't hairy, but you see people walking around the building, you say, what are they doing out here?
Yeah,
but I really like doing it at home because I can put more thought into the program, actually. Because I got to pre-record it, I got to back announce it. Of course, I always wait until Tuesday morning to finish it, and I'm on Tuesday night. But it's I can start the next day. If I hear something in the street, if I hear something on another radio station, or I'm going through YouTube or something, and I see something, I can just grab it and put it in a safe spot so that when it comes time to get serious about the program for that week, I already got half of it done.
Right. Are you able to use, you just said YouTube, because there's a lot of unreleased stuff that's on YouTube. So are you able to pull from that and integrate that into your show?
Well, I don't, but there are a lot of people who do it. There are a lot of people who use YouTube to do their entire program.
Really?
Especially, yes.
Okay.
They get music from any and everywhere and use it to do their program.
They just rip it, so they'll rip it from YouTube, make an MP3, and then put it into.
No, they don't even do that. They'll line up in YouTube, because if they have, let's say, a personal account, or the station has an account, they can just kind of line it up and play it, stop it. It's another way of programming your program.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So there are people who do it like that. So that way they don't have to bring in a computer. They don't have to bring in, CDs or LPs. But
Right.
at the same time, there are some people, you know, there's a guy, Dave Chamberlain. He does a country and western program on Thursday nights. He brings in 45s, LPs, you know, a couple of CDs.
Wow.
Lavelle Hooks is another one. He has a lot of vinyl that was never converted to CDs or MP3s.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you're going to hear it on the air is for somebody to bring in, you know, a LP and play it.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives
Right.
you a distinction, you know. And then you got people like
Right.
Ralph Rice, who has, you know, Ralph, right?
Shout out to Ralph, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
Ralph has everything. And then
I've
there's
been to, I've
Thomas.
been to Ralph's house. I've been to
Yes,
Ralph's
yes,
house.
yes. Oh yeah.
I've been to
I-
Ralph's house. You know.
you know, and you know,
Yeah.
Thomas Simmons on Friday night. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
all right here. He could, oh yeah, that's so and so, and he'll tell you the sidemen on it. I mean, his recollection is unbelievable. So,
Right.
you know, when you're around people like that, your music expands, you know.
Right.
I remember going over Ralph's house, and he could tell it was kind of piquing my interest. And he would say, "Here, take this home, take this home, take this home." I said, "Ralph, you just gave me about 60 CDs." I said, "I can't listen to these and bring them back." He said, "No, just keep them until you bring them back when you get ready." So
Wow.
my musical thing just exploded, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just hanging around Ralph and listening to him,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Well, there was
So
a comment about Lamar was when we were talking about transferring. I had pulled it up for a second, but we were Brian. Do you see that comment? Let's see CDs. Oh, here it is. There it is. Lamar says CDs made it easy to transfer physical media to the digital world. Most of my Blue Note albums are on CD.
oh yeah, that was the first thing. If I bought a CD, even today when I buy a CD, you know,
You still buy CDs?
yes I do. Yes,
Wow.
I do. I go down, you know, my favorite spot is Decatur CD, you know, Warren down there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if anything I want, or if it's old or new, I can say, "Hey, I'm looking for this." And he said, "Okay, let me see what I can do. And
What's
then
the
use
owner's name down there? He's a really, really cool guy. What's his name?
Warren.
Warren.
Yeah. And he'll call me, you know, that week.
I haven't been down there, man. And
Oh,
man, I'm glad they're still.
oh yeah.
I ordered a few things from him back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, that's my go-to spot.
Okay.
That's my go-to spot.
So
And
why do you feel, I'm just curious, why do
why
you
did I
feel
do
like, why do you feel like that's still important to
have them? I'll tell you why. You know, coming up during the LP era, the 8 tracks, and then it went from 8 tracks to cassettes, and you know, and then then CDs came, and you could only get a few things on CD when they first came out.
Mm.
You know, music was a physical thing. You know, you had to have it in your hand. You had to flip it over. You had to, you know, cassette. You had to, you know, when it got to the end, you had to take it out, flip it over. Everything was, you know, physical. You had to touch it.
Right.
MP3s came along that did away with that. You didn't even have to buy the album. You just, you know, got the cuts that you wanted.
I feel bad. I feel weird sometimes, man. Just like punching in something, and like, boom, there it is. You know, like, and you know, as far as jazz records, of course, you have to know who's playing on the record. So then I have to go
to the internet
Wikipedia or something to find out, because you can't see it, man. I don't know. I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with all of that, but
Yeah, I understand because you
Mhm.
know you go to Wikipedia or you go to Discogs or you go to All Music. You
That's
know
those are
that
the three. Those
yeah.
are, you hit it on the head. Those are the three.
See, you know about it. You know about it.
Those are the three, man. I
Yeah.
mean, good
That's the
lord,
only way you can find out who played on what year it came out, what label it's on.
unbelievable, man.
Yeah. But those are the things that
Okay.
have changed over the years,
All right. So, well, you made a comment, or I asked you a question yesterday that I wanted you to think about, and it
Okay.
was, and this kind of pertains to what we're doing here also at Local Musicians XP, where everything is cataloged. So we have a live show every Tuesday that we've been doing for, I guess, over a year. I don't know what date we started. Our goal is to try to get obviously as many people into watching the show live and interacting and all that kind of stuff. So but depending on people's schedules or whatever, they can't always tune in, so we understand that. But everything is archived and they know that, right? So you were telling me the same thing with what you guys are dealing with, where all the shows that you guys produce are in the cloud, right? And is that
Yep.
what you do? And
Yeah, we use Mixcloud,
right.
and you could go to the Mixcloud account on WRFG and say, I want to hear, you know, Lamar Renford's program because he plays R&B, or Tommy Slow Jam. I want, Tommy Slow Jam. This is a great story. He plays, like slow drag music at 10
Okay.
o'clock in the morning on
Oh
Monday.
no, man. Too
Yes,
early
yes.
for that. No.
No, man. More people listen to his. People just love his program. 10
10
o'clock
o'clock
in
in
the
the morning?
10 to noon every Monday. But people love the music, the Delphonics, just all that stuff.
I always
Barry
equate
White.
that to like after, like late. That shit.
No, not at midnight. No, 10 in the morning. Everybody loves it. Loves it. I know
Okay.
you can't. Yeah,
Okay.
I thought the same thing. I said,
Okay.
who's going to listen to that at 10 o'clock in the morning? Yes, a lot of people listen to it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I can
So,
see, I mean, people getting a day going, like, especially if you're from that era,
yeah, it brings back a lot of memories,
no question. No
Yeah.
question. So question is overexposure. Is it, what do you feel about having all of your stuff archived where people can just get to it whenever they
Um,
want to and they don't have to really check the show out?
well, see, with the jazz program, WRFG, we play jazz from 10 p.m. to midnight, Monday through Friday, and 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. So you're only talking about 13 hours, 12 hours of jazz
For the week, right?
for
Okay.
the week. So there are a lot of people, they have to go to work in the morning. So, midnight is not a good time. They've been in the bed for a minute.
That's okay. Point taken.
And I've had people, that I run into, like Stan Bryant for Unity Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Stan would, call me and said, man, that was the best thing y'all did, putting it on Mixcloud. He said, when I go walking, early in the morning, I play your program or play somebody's program, So it's a different audience, you just have to hope that, people are listening, and sometimes, there's a little counter on it and you might see, oh man, 24 people listen to that program, 2 or 3 days later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's So you can be overexposed, but it also opens up, a new audience, because a lot of people, they can't stay up that late. Or you have people who work that's, what is that? Is that the second shift? Second shift,
Mm.
they don't get a chance to really enjoy it. So they listen to it, the next day, or,
Right,
you know.
right, right. Yeah, that's a good point.
But
Do you-
then again, it's not like the old days when people listened to radio a lot, when they were in their car, when they were at home. And now I don't think people listen like that.
no, I mean, there's too many other forms of entertainment, and especially because I mean, who even? I mean, I guess people still play the radio in the car because but now you have Sirius XM radio, which we listen to, because and I listen to talk shows or my sports or
Yep. Yep.
you know, now one thing I when I'm on the road, um, I'll try to pick up a local, especially like I'm looking for like and it's and you're kind of right. It's like the jazz shows are sometimes they're earlier in the
Yeah.
day, but most of the time they're in the evenings, later at night. So you can kind of flip through and find whatever your whatever the public station is wherever you are. They usually have some kind of jazz show or something if you want to
Oh
listen
yeah. Yeah.
to
I can
jazz.
remember this past year we were driving down to Jekyll Island, and we were somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you know, that you run into. And I'm flipping through the channel, and I came across this jazz station, and they were playing some Mingus, and I said,
Wow.
"Wait, it's 11 o'clock, and you're playing Mingus. What is this?" And
Right.
then suddenly it fades out, after about
Right.
two or three songs. But you can, it's fun. But see, young people wouldn't know to do that,
No.
because we know there was terrestrial radio at one time, and it was big.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
I mean, I get it, man. It's uh
it's part of getting old.
well, yeah. I mean, but
Technology.
technology, I mean, I could be driving down the street or down the and my phone, I've got YouTube, I got YouTube I mean, anything that you want is like, and it's I don't know what the answer to, I mean, if that's that is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't always think it's a good thing because I think
No,
you know uh it definitely gives you uh so many options, right? That the last thing you're going to really do is go see what's on the radio because you already have. I mean, even if you make your own playlist, right?
right.
And you make your own playlist and you drive on that. So I get it, man. I mean, um, you know, how do you guys though? How do you? What's the future for?
That is a great question. That is a great question.
We sit here, we talk about all of these, these options that people have. Uh, you guys, you're talking about not even you don't have a large live audience anymore. So, man, like, what's the future you think for public radio?
That is a great question. I don't know, and see, like WRFG, we're a listener supported radio station. So we get grants, we get
Mm,
money from our listeners, we get, you know, is you have to get out there and hustle to get that money because just like anything else, you got to pay for the tower, you got to pay for the power, you got to pay for the building,
Right.
And all of anybody you hear on air at WRFG, we don't get paid. It's a freebie.
Volunteer. Yeah,
It's for
volunteer.
love. It's for the love.
That's right.
And we have a lot of progressive information to kind of balance off the music, but it's something that you have to want to do, and you get a kick out of doing it.
Right.
And it's not so much about the personality of the person that's playing the music. It's the fact that you're playing the music. I want people. I could care less if somebody knows my name or anything. But if somebody said there was a guy on Tuesday night from 10 to midnight that was playing some good music, man, he used to play that Miles Davis, he used to play Bobby Hutcherson. That's kind of what I like.
That's right.
I like that more than just like coming to see you guys play.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that time Chris was playing that what's the church First Friday.
Yeah.
Man, he was killing it.
Right.
Those are those kind of things that I couldn't tell you what you were playing, but I know you were killing it. Same way with Tyrone. Terrence Harper, all those guys, Craig Shaw. I shouldn't be naming names because I know I'm leaving somebody. I know I'm leaving somebody out. That's what I, like Kenny Banks Jr. Oh my God.
Right. Well, that's funny. You sort of segue into an interesting topic. That I've got a lot of mixed reviews.
Why y'all have that up there on the screen?
Hey man, I mean, the only reason I brought it up because you brought it up. Yes,
I did bring it up, didn't I?
So I've heard a lot of. I did not go, so I was working, and I there was a couple things that I wanted to check out, but there was absolutely no possible way. With the parking situation, trying to get it was impossible. So, and I haven't played. I mean, I've technically I've been doing. I've been at the festival other than this past year. The last couple years, we doing the African drum workshop with Russell Gunn for kids. So I was there, so I got to see basically everything, we're in interesting times, man. I think it reflects on just how the public views like what art is. Jazz is always sort of like it's always been art first before commercial, right? Viability, right? And then you have different sects of the music, some geared more toward commercial success than others, but you have a lot of really incredible young high level jazz artists on the scene. I've been checking out Harish Raghavan, who's a bass player, Indian bass player in New York, who's one of my favorite artists right now. You're
gonna have to text me that name.
Okay, I will. And but these guys are, they're on the cutting edge of right? And what we see now is everything seems to be a little bit more about just copying, like literally not even doing your own arrangements of stuff is what it's just copying verbatim what somebody else has already done. So, you being in the the media, so to speak, and then also as a bona fide photographer, man, you guys live for, you know, not only catching the icons, but whoever the new, you know, the new cat, you know, when Esperanza came out.
Oh yeah.
You guys, you know, so what is your experience now in terms of how, because we can lump the Atlanta Jazz Festival in with a bunch of other stuff. It's not just the Atlanta Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
What's your experience?
Okay, so being a native here, I remember when Maynard came up with the whole idea of having a free jazz festival, and the artists that they had were, you know, who's who, you know, in jazz, you know, Ornette Coleman, you know, Miles Davis, Sun Ra. I mean, it was like that every year.
Right. Hardcore.
I mean, the musicianship was off the chain. You know, the crowds may not have been, you know, it's 50, 60,000 that, you know, they're having now, but everybody was really enjoying the music. They really got, you know, got to see people I never thought I would ever see, you know, like Tony Williams, you know, Cindy Blackman, you know, just, you know. Okay, so somewhere along that trip, and I don't know if it was because of the money, you know, because there were a couple of years it almost didn't happen, you know.
Right, that's right.
I don't know if, well, we need to get more people there, so the acts changed, you know. Just like this past year, I was walking around with your wife and Julie, and I hear this guy, he's playing Let's Stay Together.
Ooh.
You know, he's, you know, instrumental version of that, and then he played something by somebody else, you know, R&B cut, you know. And I said, you know, don't get me wrong, the guys, you know, the group was great musicians. They were playing, but is that what I really wanted to hear at a jazz festival? You know, part two of that is between the acts. You're playing Cameo, you're playing Michael Jackson. You know, that's just like, you know, at a gospel concert, between acts, you wouldn't play, you know, some hardcore rap. You know, that I equate that like that. You know, play the masters, you know, between the sets. You know, don't water it down. You know, and when I say water it down, I'm not really talking about, you know, watering it down, but don't mix the genres up. You know, just, you know, if it's a jazz festival, play jazz. If you're going to call it a music festival, just call it a music festival. You know, I'm sure Maynard will be turning over in his grave, you know, if you did that. But, you know, that's where you go.
I mean,
I'm trying to be politically correct. You know?
I know you are. I know you are. You don't, you know, this, like I said, man, you know, it's, I think it's, you know, I saw an interesting interview with he was a rock musician. And he was saying, he said, when did real artists ever care what the public wanted? Okay. So let's really think about that. Right. So what is he saying? Is he saying that he doesn't care about the following or his people? No, that's not what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's saying his job as an artist is to create what's in his heart, what he really wants to what he needs to show, what he really is as an artist, and let the chips fall where they may. So that way when people hear his stuff, it's going to be the people that really dig what he's really about. That's basically what he was saying. And he was saying now we have too much of, well, they can't understand this, so we have to give them that. So you're seeing this all over the place, man. It's not just in jazz. It's, you have bona fide rock bands that they play. I mean, their show is already produced on a laptop. They're not even really playing their instruments up there. Wow. Everything is produced on a laptop. All of it's all flown in, and the show is already, that's where we kind of are right now. And so you brought up, I don't know the politics of, the money, what's it cost to get some of these cats from New York. I mean, Sullivan Fortner was here. So, there's guys that were here that came.
Yeah.
But it used to be, just a slew of cats that it was all like, man,
A-listers.
You had to be it to get on.
Yeah.
And so is it a thing of cutting corners? Is it the wrong people that are choosing who plays? I think that has something to do with it. I think it's a combination of a lot of different things,
I think you're right on that.
But you have, just in other genres, people that are choosing bands, that are choosing music, they don't know. Because that's not, all they're doing is looking at who's hot, who's big on social media. Oh, this person has this many followers. Oh, this person has this many likes. So, oh, well, they must be good. So we're going to hire them. You have a lot of that. You have a lot of lazy thinking. You have a lot of, especially when it comes to, to be a jazz listener is supposed to be a super astute, high level thinking kind of cat. It's not for everybody. And not to say, I mean, you just mentioned there's a ton of R&B, pop, funk, rock stuff that we love as well. But when it comes to this music, you have to have somebody who really knows what's going on. And I don't know if that's the case anymore.
Yeah, probably right on that one. There was a time when, like I said, every artist was an A-lister, or somebody who played with somebody who was an A-lister, and they were coming out on their own. Those were, I can remember seeing Joshua Redman when he first hit the scene. Kenny Garrett. Kenny had played with Miles for a while and played with a lot of other people, but then when he came out with his own stuff, oh man, this is
right.
He's got it, and now he's one of the elder statesmen.
True, right. Yeah, I mean, I know you don't, because you're in a little bit of a tricky spot with what you do and what but I feel, my wife, she's an astute listener and knows the art form well, the genre well, and just a lot of question marks as to, and and then I also heard that the crowd was different.
Oh yeah,
the crowd was not. They weren't really there. I mean, and so that's really what you're up against is who's coming to, or who are you attracting? That's even a better question. Is who are you attracting to the Atlanta Jazz Festival? Who do you want to attract to the Atlanta Jazz Festival?
And I think one of the things is the fact that it's free.
Yeah. You think so? You think that's a negative?
I wouldn't say it's a negative, but it's a different because it's free. And people in Atlanta, don't get me wrong, because I'm one of them. We love free stuff. You know, if something is going on and it's free, you're going to get a crowd.
Right.
You know,
are you going to get the right crowd though?
Yeah, but at that point, you say, I want a big crowd, so let me bring in so and so. You know, a couple of years ago, they had some guy, I can't even remember his name, but he was a hot artist and he was supposedly jazz for the younger folks. And right before he came on, 1 million people showed up. And they were just, you know, banging their heads during his set, you know, good musician and stuff. But, you know, I wouldn't call him jazz, but he was good. Mm-hmm. As soon as he finished playing, everybody was gone.
Wow.
I saw that same effect this year. You know, my son, my youngest son, he's one of them, you know, because he's a big Andre 3000 fan. He's a big Outkast fan. That was his music. You know, Outkast was his Sly and the Family Stone.
Yeah.
Then my George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. You know, Outkast was their group.
Sure.
So,
right.
So you're gonna try to, you know. He came out there, he brought my granddaughter, you know, like she said. I said, what y'all doing tomorrow? Well, we're going to the jazz festival. I said, really? Yeah, Dad wants to see some dude that used to play with Outkast, you know, because she's 10 years old. And I said, wow. Right. You know, so that's a whole different thing because she doesn't know who Outkast is. She just.
What was your impression of, like I said, I just heard. So
yeah, well, you know, the first thing I thought about was Eric Dolphy.
Okay.
There's an album out called Other Aspects.
Okay.
In fact, you remember when you mentioned Abdul when he used to come on CLK? He used to play Other Aspects. You know, the flute was, you know, it's just
right.
You know, but it's a little out. So I thought about that, but you know,
but there was
there's a structure. There's a structure in that outness that Eric Dolphy was playing, that Ornette Coleman plays, that Coltrane was playing in his later years. You know, there was structure in that. I haven't heard enough of Andre 3000 to know if that structure is there.
Interesting. I don't think there is a structure. I think it's improvisational. Well, whatever that's what I think it's in the moment, which, you know, I mean, for a jazz festival, I don't know.
Again, he brought a lot of people in. And, you know, I was reading something.
This is back to what this person is going to bring X amount of people. But just as you said, they're only going to be there for.
They were gone. Liz
75
Wright.
minutes or whatever
Liz Wright was, you know, she was the closing act that day. Mm-hmm. She didn't have that many people, but she was the closing act, you know.
Right.
You know, I felt I would say kind of bad for her, but you know, this is what the people wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. You're fading out of the camera just a little bit.
Oh,
James.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I'm, you know, a little torn between that, you know, because it would have been different if the people that stayed and listened to Liz Wright, if they stayed and listened to Paquito de Rivera it would be different if they stayed and listened to the, what's the name, something else, with what's the name, Herring, Vincent Herring and his group. It would have been different if the people stayed. But when that act, the younger act, played, they were gone.
So, well, this is a interesting comment from Lamar.
Yeah.
He says the internet made a false post about Andre 3000 with the Jazz Fest stage, and then Woodstock audience photoshopped. Are you kidding, man?
No, he's not. I saw that one.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah. And, that's where we are. That's where we are. And sitting around some of the people, because, I was sitting down when he was playing. A lot of people were a little upset because they thought they were going to hear something, maybe not Outkast, but close to Outkast. And that's not what they heard.
Well, I mean, people have been paying attention if that's what
they thought. Because he's playing music from his Flute album.
I mean, but God, so Nia Tate, that sounds like somebody I know. That is what it boils down to. How many bodies are you bringing? I mean, not only into the festivals, but just into anywhere. I had an interesting conversation Tuesday. We did our first on location, or last Tuesday, I should say, did our first on location show from the Red Light Cafe. Robert Boone was having a birthday celebration, so we thought, hey, let's go hang out and just wing it and see what happens. So it actually turned out to be a great experience, great show. And I got to just kind of pull some random people into, and just have a quick sit down with several different people. And one of the people that I talked to is a young lady named Allie Stevens, who I've known for years. She was just a street promoter, literally, that was helping out. She was working at the 5 spot. You remember the 5 spot, Little 5, right up the street from where you guys are, the RFG. And she now has, her own production company, and she's doing really well. But she still is musically, her fiance is a bass player that's in the scene and is well connected. And so, she's still connected to the music, but she had some very interesting things to say about like how bands or how artists are being hired now, because you have people that don't know Miles Davis from John Coltrane. They don't know the Rolling Stones from the Who. They don't know you know what, it's like they don't know, they don't care, but they're in charge of hiring. So all they do is look at social media. And people, she was telling me that people will buy bots and to get their likes up to a certain level, or to get their following up to a certain level. So it looks like they have thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and that's how you're kind of judged on whether it has nothing to do with how good you are. It has nothing to do with, anything that is real, basically. So her advice was, if you are a real artist, you need to play the game, and buy yourself. You need to play the game. You need to buy your follower, buy your likes, all that stuff, because that's why it's so out of balance right now.
Yeah.
It's because, you know, there's a lot of people that don't believe in that. And Andre 3000, of course, is going to have, he's going to have already millions of people just based on who he is and the work that he's already done. And not just because he's a cool, I mean, he used to hang out at Churchill, man. He would come down to Churchill
Oh
jazz
yeah.
clubs. He's always been a, you know, a real forward kind of thinking kind of guy. So I don't think we're talking necessarily about what he's doing. What he's doing is cool, but
Yeah.
it doesn't belong at a jazz festival, is what
Right.
we're saying. It doesn't belong at a jazz
Yeah.
festival.
You know,
And
just like New Orleans, you know, they had the Stones there this year.
right. Well, you know, I mean, if you look at, though, that's an interesting point. But New Orleans is the Heritage Festival.
Right. They've changed it. It used to be known as Jazz Fest, you know, all the old people.
I would venture to pull up, if you pull up, matter of fact, Brian, see if you can find Newport Jazz, like maybe 1969, 1970. Check out the lineup, because there's always been that in the festivals. You know, there's always been a big rock act, or there's, you know, to kind of tie to balance out whatever, you know, to get people in there.
Yeah.
So
Sly and the Family Stone played at Newport in, I want to say 69 or 70, you know, before Woodstock. And Miles Davis was, you know, kind of blown away. He said, man, I could do this. And
that's how he got hit. Right. Yeah.
That led to Bitches Brew and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. B.B. King,
Led Zeppelin, James Brown. I mean, so that's always been there, you know.
Yeah.
And this is what because what was cool about it was they would have these, which, you know, our jazz festival has, well, it's only 2 days now, so it's kind of scaled back, right? Or just 3 days. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Sunday and Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but when you look at this, there's only really I only see 3 jazz artists.
Yeah.
Really. Miles, Dave Brubeck, and Herbie Hancock.
Yeah. That's it.
Now you have some Jeff Beck was kind of
a crossover. Yeah.
Crossover kind of fusion kind of, but he was more in 69. He was doing more straight rock, Zeppelin, Sly, Jethro Tull. So, you know, you've always sort of had this, I mean, the one thing I will say about all those bands is that they were good.
Yeah. Hands down, they were very good. You know?
So, you know, it's always been there. But I think stuff is so watered down at this. That's really, I think, what most people are up in arms about. That it's,
you know, I heard one of the groups at the Jazz Festival, I can't even remember their name, but, you know, the guy said, yeah, this is our latest single. And I said, single? And then later on he said, well, this is the jam on the album. I said, you don't hear, you know, jazz musicians say that. You know, maybe I'm old school. I don't know. That kind of, you know, got me.
I mean, I look back, man, dude, I've been here since what, 93. I've been going to and playing the festival definitely since 2004, 5, 6, set, you know, and I'm sure financially there's been, because remember it used to have
3 stages.
the local stage, you would have the international stage, and then you'd have the main stage. You'd
You had the
have
rising artists, you know.
So I get it. I mean, everything has been, you know, just I don't know, man. It's just a different time. What do you
Different.
think? I mean, now do you go to different cities and check out? Because that's one thing that my wife does is she
Yeah.
goes
Yes.
she makes an effort to go, and she's like she's been not happy in other places too. It's not just
Right,
here.
right. You know, there was when I first started taking pictures at the jazz festival here in Atlanta, you used to get maybe 15 minutes in the pit. You
That's
know,
right.
you know, the guy worked up a sweat, you know, and you could get, you know, you can get, you know, something,
Right.
you know, coming off his chin or something, you know, off the end of his nose. And they got a chance to warm up and really start cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got 3 minutes in there.
Right.
Shoot. The main
Why
artist
do you
might not
think that?
even,
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. And I'm afraid to ask, you know, but you know, it's but 15 minutes you could move around, get different angles, get different shots.
Right.
You know, you didn't just rely on just putting it on,
Mm-hmm.
machine gun and just take as many pictures as you can in the 3 minutes, and then when you get back, sort them out, see if you had some good ones. You know, before you used to, try to compose your shots and all that kind of stuff. You know, yeah, because you know all this.
So yeah, I mean, I think yeah, and it's definitely dumbed down the art that it used to be and the experience that it used to be. You
Because
know.
to me, jazz is not only, you know, what you hear in the ear, it's a visual thing. Let me check out what the bass player is doing. You may not do that if you're listening to a rock band, unless it's time for him to solo. You may not listen to the drummer unless the drummer is soloing. But
Mhm.
with jazz, you kind of check out everybody to see what they're doing.
Right.
And I don't know if we have that anymore
Right.
because, you know, the pictures you see, you already know unless they're in a small club that somebody let you take pictures in.
Right.
It's 3 minutes and you guys got to go.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the solution is, man. We're gonna, you know, it's not looking promising. That's everywhere. It's just a lot, it's I think just in general things are being diluted,
Yeah.
for it's just people don't have uh that attention span for the things that we grew up, the things that we love, the things that we, especially when it comes to music, that whole, like, it's almost like they've taken the mental out of, uh, when you hear how pop music is produced, the sound that it has. There's not any. It's not creative anymore.
Yeah.
Even your pop artists used to be creative. And write great songs or write great. But there is a great jazz scene still. I think it's really kind of it's kind of New York or bust at this point. There's
Yeah.
still, Morgan Guerin, who is an Atlanta product, is
Yep.
kicking, doing incredible up in New York and playing with, a bunch of really, really heavy cats. And the cat that I mentioned, Harish Raghavan, he's playing with him. He's playing with Terry Lynn Carrington. He's playing with, a lot of different people. So that's really the last place, man, that
But
this music is living,
yeah, but yeah, you have to make some money out of this. Yeah, but here in Atlanta, there are a ton of great
We
musicians
have no question, but we don't have there's nowhere to play
to
anymore,
play.
James.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's uh it's hard to, because with specifically speaking about jazz music, the the crux of what that music is supposed to be about is about composition. You have always had artists covering whatever's popular at the time, or they do cover tune, but it's really about the composing, and it's hard to um want someone to compose a bunch of music if there's nowhere to play. I mean, I know people still do for their own benefit, but
Mhm.
the music's not designed to really just be to play by yourself. You want to have a band that plays your music, and you bring it to the band and see what
Yeah,
everybody kind of brings to it, and that you have to have outlets for that.
places to play,
There's
places to play.
nowhere, one play we don't even talk, because
Yeah,
I don't play there. Tyrone don't play there. A lot of people don't play there. I guess if you desperate, you play there. But it's like, people from out of town, they'll play there. But there's no home base anymore.
right.
So it's really hard to want for people to be inspired to create music like that. And then also you just don't have the audience of unless the great I no well I will say this: the home concerts, man,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's the last, but there's not a lot of that going on right now.
Right.
I thought there was like this up sort of like, oh, I think this might be the thing that people are going to start doing, is just doing home concerts.
Yeah.
That's the only way I think this music could survive, at least here in
Yeah.
Atlanta, is
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
if you have a community um of people like yourself who can can handle 30, 40 people in their house,
In
like
that house. Oh my God. I
Ralph,
don't know about
I
that.
mean, I know that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So you have to first you have to have the facility, the place to do it. And I mean, we used to love going to Ralph's. We would do something. Ralph would cook. Ralph's a chef, so he
Yep.
cook it up, and
Cook it up. Sit
we
there to
play in the basement, man. And
two,
man,
3 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, I
And,
mean,
and
I'm down
everybody
for that.
just jamming.
I do that all day long. I'm down for that.
Yep.
You know, uh, so I think that would be a way for things to survive here, is if there was that kind of thing going on. But other than that,
Yeah. I mean,
I
you
don't
got to
know.
have a place to play because, you know, somebody could be writing great music, but you would
Mhm.
never know it because
You're
there's
never gonna
no
know it,
place for
man.
you to hear. You know, yeah, I give one example. I'm a big Wayne Shorter fan. His
Hmm.
compositions are just,
Yes,
you
sir.
know,
One of the
way
greatest.
ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
And this is probably 15, 20 years ago. And my oldest son, he came by the house to pick up something. And he said, I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta be somewhere in 5 minutes. So I'm playing this Wayne Shorter, maybe something like Speak No Evil. And he said, what's that? you know, And I said, "Oh, that's Wayne Shorter." I said, "You know, he used to play with Miles Davis and all that. You know who Miles Davis is, right?" He said, "Yeah, of course I do." So he said, "But I gotta go." And the next song came on. The next thing I know, he's sitting down.
Oh, wow.
And this dude, you know, he's hip hop to the max, you know, but he got a chance to sit down and listen, you know, to something. And that's what I'm saying. If you put people in a place where they can hear it, they will
yeah, they'll come.
You know, they will love it. They will love
Right.
it. You know.
Right. Well, listen, man, we're gonna wrap up on this. Yes. Let's see. Speak No Evil, Witch Hunt, Dance. Let's see. Infinize, Dance.
Infinize. Yes.
I used to be able to name that whole record.
Oh, I may have to play this as soon as we get off.
Yeah, if you are want to start listening to jazz, that's a great album.
Absolutely.
To check out and just sort of you know, get acquainted with.
Yeah.
So, but listen, man, let's wrap it up. We're gonna have you back on obviously, you know, a few more other times. We'll talk about some other stuff, man. But you know, so what I had a thought. What we talked a little bit about building your own internet radio station, right? And I don't know the logistics of getting that because I guess you tried to get it, but you say it's being done, right?
It's being done. There are people out there. There are people out there who are doing it. You know, it's something to look into. You know.
So, but how are they? Are they playing whatever they want, or
they're playing whatever they want? You know, it's sort of like community radio without without the money. You know, I don't know how they're doing it, but you know,
it would be interesting.
They want an outlet. They want an outlet.
Well, but I think that that's kind of a cool thing because. You know, I guess I'm just wondering how you get around the
copyright and all the monies that you have to pay out. Well, sometimes the actual internet provider or the whoever has the station, they'll pay all that because they do little ads and stuff like I think that's how it works. I'm not sure, but one of the guys at the station, David Daniels, he's always been looking into this. So, and David has a great show. If you like, a little fusion mixed in with your straight ahead, he's on Thursday nights.
What night?
Thursday nights from 10 to midnight,
Okay.
Yeah. And just like anybody else, I play different music from when I started in 2009 because I've grown in jazz mostly because of other people. Same thing with Tahiti on Monday, me on Tuesday, Ralph on Wednesday, David on Thursday, Thomas Simmons on Friday, and Lavelle on Saturday.
There's a jazz show every day
every day from 10 to midnight.
Okay.
Monday through Friday. And Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. So, and everybody plays straight ahead, but there's always a little different take on it from each person, and that's the beauty of community radio. Nobody's telling you what to play.
Right.
So you get a broad, I like to use the word spectrum because that's the name of my program. But you get a broad spectrum of the music, and that's the beauty of community radio or the college radio stations or there's Georgia Tech I think there's a program they play like from 10 to noon that's playing out music. You know, it's
They
just
used to do like a free. It was like free jazz at one point. I mean, it would be like you could go on there and it just be some cat making a noise for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, and then they'll go play something by Duke Ellington, and then jump right back into, you know, some Coltrane that's way out there, you know.
Yeah.
But again, nobody's telling you what to play. Yeah. Nothing like free radio, right?
Man, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, we love having you. Next time, you hopefully your brother won't have the scheduling conflict, man. But
yeah. I get Tyrone in it because we go way back.
Yeah,
when he first moved to
Atlanta.
Atlanta.
That's how I met you, isn't it?
Yeah, through Tyrone. Hey, I need to introduce you to this drummer. He's real good.
Yeah, man. So
Tyrone is the man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, we enjoyed it, man. Again, check out James. His show is on.
It's on right now. You got 1 hour left.
Now. It's imagine that he is actually multitasking, guys.
Yes.
He's been talking to us, but then he's back at the studio doing. I mean, it's amazing. You don't even. And the thing
wouldn't even know.
You wouldn't even know. He's like hasn't missed a beat. So so programming versus all of those things. It's an interesting subject. The talk of vinyl versus CD versus.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
So we'll bring you with Lamar because he's got a lot of opinions about that stuff. With the whole MP3 thing. The YouTube. I brought up just because I've had so much success of finding things that are out of print or unreleased, or I mean it's like everything is, which is good and bad, right? It's like once you know how the magician pulls the rabbit out of the hat, it's kind of over for that whole sort of trip of the just the wonder, the amazement of how things are certainly done, but it just is what it is, man. It's where we are now,
how things are done, when you're talking about recording, I know that's changed a whole lot.
Man, you have no idea. You don't even know who you're listening to anymore.
You go all the way back to Quincy Jones on that. He used to chop up that stuff so much.
Yeah, but there was an art to it.
Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. Oh, he knew what he was doing.
I mean, there was an art to it. I mean, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's So, technology, you have to embrace it. There's great things about it. There's no doubt about it. So, it just kind of is what it is, man. But listen, go check my man out at WRFG in Atlanta, 89.3.
And we stream worldwide at WRFG.org.
On the internet. Just go and type.
Hey, thanks for inviting me, Chris. Enjoyed it.
Pleasure, man. Great. Just some really great insight there. And, I know we have there's some private conversations that we got to have about a couple of things.
Yes, we do.
We'll sort of, we'll talk more about some stuff, but,
one last thing. If you want to see some good photographs, go to our Instagram page, WRFG Jazz. And somebody that's married to you has a couple of pictures on there.
Man, that's what I heard.
Yeah, so make sure you check.
I don't get to see nothing. I don't get to see that, So it's all
Yeah.
it's all hidden, man. I
Yeah.
gotta pay. I gotta.
She is a great photographer.
No doubt about it, man. One of
No
the
doubt
best.
about it.
One of the
Yes.
best. One of the best.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
all right, my man. Well,
Okay.
listen. You take care, and we will see you next time, James.
Yes. Enjoyed it.
All right, man. Peace
Out.
out. Wow. There's a lot of things there that I just in terms of just some of the things that's going on with the jazz festivals and it's kind of everywhere. So uh everything seems to be so, I mean, money, the money obviously is important, and but the preservation of art is just becoming sort of, it's just in a weird place. And I want to pull on some other artists and some people to talk about that, because you know it's people do have to play the game. I mean, if you're an artist, you have to play the same game that non-artists are playing, and that's hard pill to swallow. That's a hard, because it goes against everything that you stand for, what you believe in. But we're gonna have some other folks on to talk about that subject. I think that's a pretty interesting subject, and because there's people still making great music, there's people still making great movies and art. It's just hard to get to it because I think that most great artists they're just not good at promoting themselves. That's not what they're there to do. That's why it's always, back it was always somebody else's job. Now you have to wear every hat. You have to be promoter, you have to be musician, you have to be uh, just everything. And that's a tricky place to kind of be. So, but anyway, we're gonna close on that note. Just a couple of notes here. We will be at the distillery. As I'm pulling it up. See, this is where, having someone behind the scenes, I just have to let go and let Brian, right? So because he's already like thinking how so we're becoming, it's getting a little weird, man, because I don't want no problems, man. That's my main motto. I don't want no problems. And you're getting so deep into this that we're thinking alike, and I don't want your wife coming looking for me, man, because it's not going to be good. All right. So anyway, all that being said, Distillery of Modern Art, Chambly. That is next Friday, actually. I know we have 4 students that are going to play with us. So the first set, we're going to play as the trio with Tyrone Jackson on keys, Craig Shaw on bass. And then the second set, we are going to have some select students that we have chosen to come and play with us. And it's going to actually be the beginning of our session that we are putting together, which will combine professionals and students together. That is going to be the concept. So if anybody remembers, there used to be a show called Pros versus Joes, and it was ex-professional athletes and people from off the street who thought they could hang, whether it was basketball or they would play flag football or whatever. So they would pull these cats off the street. They would see if they could hang with the pros. So we're kind of taking that concept and we're going to use that and we're going to combine. So it's no students, not going to be like a student, all students playing together. No, you have to play with the cats that are doing it and you're going to be given that opportunity. And then you're going to get some wisdom and some things to take home and work on after the fact. That's the only way you can learn. That's the only way you can grow. You have to play with people who are better than you, and you have to be able to hear what they say about what you need to work on and what you need to attack. That's the only way you're going to get better. It's not going to be by getting together with your friends and y'all do whatever you want and being in a judgment free zone, and we're just going to do what we want and play and nobody's going to say anything and we're going to get pats on the back and we're going to just go. No, that's, I mean, now if you can do that, but that's not going to help you in terms of getting better. And it just depends on what your goals are. If your goals are to just you just playing for fun or whatever, I don't know why you're going to school. I don't know why you're trying to play gigs. I don't know why you're trying to make money at this. Is that if that's your goal, is just if it's just a hobby, so the only way to get better is to put yourself in the water and swim with the sharks, and that's not a bad thing. That's how you learn. That's how you learn how to survive. And last night it was really interesting because we, Joe Granston, Craig Shaw, Tyrone, and myself, we've been playing together for 20 years. We called a tune we hadn't played in a minute. It was actually my fault because I called it, but we called Origin. And man, that tune ate us up. I mean, it started okay, but then it was like the deeper we kind of got into it, the form is kind of is kind of weird. So when it came to kind of start trading solos and stuff, man, we all got off big time. It was like first we were doing this and then we were doing that and then we were doing something else. Now, of course, the public's not going to really kind of know the difference between what we're doing and what we're not doing. But for us, it was like, holy crap, we are in. How are we going to get out of this? But just our experience got us through that, and we were just all laughing at the end of it. Nobody was crying. It wasn't a moment of the world is ending and we got to go call our moms and get and get a pep talk. It was just like, wow, we hadn't played that one in a minute. Okay, got to go back and work on it. That's just what you do. You go back and you work on it, and the next time you kill it, you destroy it. But it's not gonna. It happens to everybody. It happens to I guarantee people that you think are on such a high level, man, they have moments too. Everybody has them, but it's how you rebound from that. Not even necessarily rebound, just be able to be in the moment and go, you know what, that didn't go well. It's just kind of laugh it off. But those are that's the thick skin that you develop, man, over the years of trying to play music on a high level. That's the only way that you should want to play is play on a high level. So anyway, all that to say, we're going to have some kids play with us at the distillery. That's coming up on June 21st. So hopefully, and there's no cover charge for that. It's a great spot. They have really, it's really a cool place. If you haven't been to this Distillery of Modern Art, they have a lot of really, I don't know I'm not a big drinker, but they have a lot of specialty, drinks that they make, and it's just a real cool spot to hang out. And they've embraced bringing in some live music and bringing in some jazz on Friday. So that's a place that you can check out some live music on Fridays if you want to. So other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I will be with the Mike Veal Band tomorrow night at 10 Roof. I believe Tyrone will be at Red Light Cafe tomorrow. I believe maybe tomorrow. He might not be there tomorrow. I think it might be Kevin Bales playing tomorrow, which is he's incredible as well. So go check that out if you're in Midtown. But thank you for hanging out with us. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you have not. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Give us a thumbs up, on everything. We've got a sponsored post that's going around right now on our Local Musicians XP on Instagram. So hit that up, give us a comment, and give us a like. And with that, we will be back next week. We don't have a guest next week, but then week after we have the great bass player Kevin Scott, who I've known since he was pretty young, early 20s, who's gone on to do some really cool things. He's living in New York. He's playing with the band called Government Mule right now, and has really made some cool waves of his own in New York City, and playing with some greats. So he's going to be on in a couple weeks, and he had a jam session of his own that I'm sure we're going to talk about when he was here in Atlanta. That was pretty interesting. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. So that will be the last Tuesday which is the 28th, I believe, is the last Tuesday. So, does that sound right? No. What's the last Tuesday? Let's see here. Oh, the 25th. That's right. 25th. So it'd be the 25th of I had to check my math. 25th of June. So with that, thank you guys so much. And right on time, of course, after I look for myself, Mark Podhorzer comes with the date. Thank you, Mark. That's really it's really thoughtful. Really thoughtful of you, man. I mean, man, right on time, buddy. All right. All right, Brad. Thanks. Glad you enjoyed the show. Thank you, Lamar. My wife, Nia Tate, was in the chat. Thank you for coming in. Brad, as I said before, Sigwell. Let's see, who else? Garland, Rich, Mark. Let's see, did I miss anybody? I think that's probably pretty much it. And there's a bunch of people, but nobody said anything. And what it looks like to me, it looked like Facebook was up and running. And we also have some people checking us out on Twitter. So that's pretty interesting. Well, what used to be called Twitter, which is now X. So I can see the live viewers from this. It tells you where. I can't see who they are. Brian, still nobody following you, man, on this page, man. Man, I'm very disappointed, man. I thought you would you'd have that together by now, man. Just, no, it's out of his control. We don't know why that happens. I don't know why that happens. They tell you to link your social media, but then you get no traffic. So I don't know what's going on. Anyway, we will see you guys next week. Peace out.